What is up, everybody? It is your local Ottawa fan. I'm here today to talk to you about the 39-18 thrashing at the hands of the Montreal Alouettes. Now, I do have notes, and I'm actually going to do things a little differently today. I'm gonna break down the game and then go more deep into my thoughts, and I'm really gonna separate it into two segments. Sometimes, after particularly painful or embarrassing losses, I do what I like to call a no-noter. Don't take any notes. I don't need notes to tell you the game was bad, the game was horrible, this is what went wrong. I don't even need them. I do need the notes today because there were reasons for why this went as bad as it did, and I can kind of excuse this one. I especially do no notes as a way to kind of emphasize how upset I am, how furious I am. Let me be clear. If we lose to Calgary, probably a no-noter. If we lose to Calgary and then Toronto, definitely a no-noter. If we lose to Calgary, my hand's above the panic button. If we lose to Calgary and then Toronto, I push it. I think we should be 2-2 at the end of the month. If we're looking down the barrel of 1-3 or 0-4, yeah, different conversation. But this is a game which, while a bad loss, it's excusable, and I'll get to it. The main reason for me is that Drew Brown didn't play. Our O-line's also really injured, but the big thing for me is Drew Brown didn't play. And I think this game is different if Brown plays. I'm not necessarily saying that I think we win, but do we lose by 21 points? God, no. We probably at least keep it within a 1.5 score game. You know, I can't see us losing by more than 11 if Drew Brown plays this game. I think that it's a significantly closer game. It starts out not terrible. The first drive, Montreal's walking all over us, but when we needed them most, the defense steps up, gets a stop, forces a field goal. 3-0 Montreal. Okay, whatever. We go nowhere when we get the ball, which is the first sign that our offense today was pretty substandard. They weren't good. I thought Pimpleton, Addison, and Lewis had good games. And that's kind of the extent of our offense. And they're the players that you expect to have good games. I felt like, yeah, we clearly have one QB. We have Drew Brown, and that's it. And the gap between Drew Brown and everybody else, it's a huge gap. It's not like some teams where their backup quarterback's almost as good as their starter, maybe better. No. None of that here. Drew Brown is the guy. If Drew Brown isn't in, again, it's almost, when he was injured, I thought to myself, oh, so we're going to lose by about 21, especially against a team like Montreal. And yeah, we don't get anything, but on the punt, the ensuing punt, Montreal fumbles deep in their own territory. Ottawa recovers. We get all the way down to the 1-yard line. Now again, that's good. The offense was given prime field position. That happens a lot in the first quarter. And that's why I'm saying if Drew Brown played, things might have been different. So, great field position. We get down to the 1-yard line, and Dustin Crum can't get it in. For a short yard specialist, not good. He had multiple attempts at the 1-yard line. The 1-yard line. It would have given us a lead early in the game. And that's when it was like, oh, okay, yeah, like it's probably going to be one of those games. Because this is a golden opportunity. We could have at least just tied it if we didn't, you know. I get going for it. I would have gone for it too. But come on, you got to get that. There's no excuse for not scoring there. And we don't score. But, hey, we have them pinned. And we get it to an out. They punt it back to us. We're at roughly midfield. Again, good field position. If Drew Brown's playing, he'll probably get us 10, 15 yards to at least get us in a field goal range. We do nothing. Punt right back. We get another 2-and-out. Again, great field position. Prime opportunity to do something, to get something done. And yet again, we do nothing. This time it's a little bit worse because we throw a pick at about midfield. So no matter what, like, again, Drew Brown, he's much better with the ball. I get they were all deflections, but still, Drew Brown, I think, when you look at three times that we get at least to about midfield and walk away with 0 points, Drew Brown's going to get at least 6, like, be honest. He's probably going to get 10, at least 6. Big difference. And Montreal gets it deep. After the pick, they go deep into our territory, but again, we force a field goal. It's 6-0. It's still a one-score game. This could be way uglier. And that's when we finally get a drive in the second quarter where Lewis Ward gets a chip shot, makes it 6-3, and in one pass, boom, after Montreal, right after we're 6-3, right back in the game, Montreal gets deep. We take a horse collar tackle because penalties were an issue. I'll get into it. They get a free touchdown. So right as we get on the board, they strike right back in basically one play. It's 13-3 Montreal. We got a huge return past midfield. We throw another pick. That's 4 times where the offense starts at a good spot, starts really good, and did nothing with it in the first half. 4 attempts, yeah, Brown is definitely getting 10 points. Minimum, he's getting 10 points. We got 3. Because, again, there were also other drives where we didn't start great. Like, it was 13-3 at that time. I have no doubt that if Brown was playing this game, it would have been 13-13 if Brown was playing. Like, that's the difference we're talking. And after we throw a pick, our defense holds strong. But, again, it was a pick close to midfield. Montreal's doing pretty good. We force a punt, but our star quarterback's injured. We do nothing, and then our defense gives up a huge play. They end up stopping it, but it's 16-3, and at the end of the half, we do nothing. They get into field goal range, and they make it 19-3. And if you're following along, that means that in the first quarter, we actually held them to 3 points. Not bad. In the second quarter, Montreal scored 16 points. We scored 3. And again, I have a tough... I think that if Brown was playing, at worst, we would have gone into halftime down by 1 score, down 19-13. Instead, we were down 19-3, 2 full scores. The third quarter was our best quarter by a significant margin. We got some scoring. It's the only quarter where we scored more than once. We got 15 points. And then, right as we started to make it a game again, it disappears in the fourth quarter. We start with a 2-and-out, and then Montreal, right as they're moving the ball, we get a pick. We bring it to the Montreal 36, and this time, our drive ends in the end zone. Dustin Crum on 1 yard. This time he gets in. Okay, touchdown. 19-10. Okay, it's starting to become a game. Personally, I would have gone for 2, but it's no matter because we have a punt. Goes out the back of the... Well, not out the back of the end zone, but it goes to the end zone. So we got a rouge. So it's 19-11. And just like that, it's a 1-score game. Okay. Maybe this is doable. This is where you start to think, well, you know, if they can get a stop. They don't. Montreal walks their way to the end zone. That, for me, is when hope really started to evaporate. When it was 26-11. Our next drive was our honestly our one really good drive. Long, methodical, ends in the end zone. Braylon Addison with a touchdown. He's been great. 26-18. Again, it's a 1-score game. Down by 8 points. Our defense needs to hold them to a stop. They do. Points are 15-7 in our favor in the third quarter. And we are going to be receiving the ball to start the fourth quarter. This is our chance. This is our opportunity. If there's ever a chance to win this game, if you score right at the start of the fourth quarter to tie the game, heck, even if you don't tie it, if you're down by 2 points, you are in it, especially in the CFL. What do we do? Well, we are doing nothing. We have a 2-and-out, and we were pinned so deep off of again, the defense got a stop, but Montreal pins us deep. When we kick it back to them, Montreal's in basically field goal range. They get a field goal, and now it's 29-18. Now we're down by 11 with about 11 minutes left. There's some time, but with how our offense had been doing all game, that's a tall order. Again, Drew Brown, I'd say, well, you never know. If he could just heat up at the right moment and get us 11 points in 11 minutes. With how the offense was today, without an O-line, I was thinking, yeah, that's probably it. And as if to just signal, yeah, you don't need any doubt. We get to their 50. Okay, it's close. Borderline ward range soon. Give up a pick 6. 36-18, and the rest of the game is nothing. We ended up with the ball with 7 minutes left, and it was a third and very long. And I was thinking like 36-18 is 18 points. It's a tall order, but like it theoretically could be done, right? If you score quickly and you turn 18 points into 10 points, it's a game again with 7 minutes left, and we didn't even go for it. We just punted. It was clear that, like, to be fair, we wouldn't have gotten it if we went for it. It was about midfield, and we wouldn't have gotten it if we went for it on 3rd and, I think, 15. And Montreal, at the end, they tack on another field goal, and then the final score would end up being 39-18. Any hope that we had going into the fourth quarter? Well, in the fourth quarter alone, we gave up 13 points, including a pick 6. Not a good night. Not a good night. And I have a tough time believing that Brown would have given up 3 picks. I have a tough time believing that he would have gotten as few yards as we did. We got 210 passing yards. Drew Brown consistently gets about 400. Even a bad game for Drew Brown is still about 310 yards. Like, it's 100 more yards. And when you think about how they got so many points on field goals, they only got 3 touchdowns. One was the pick 6. In terms of offensive touchdowns, we were actually tied, believe it or not. We had as many offensive touchdowns as they did. We had 1 field goal and 1 rouge. They had a flurry of field goals. Let's see if I can remember the count. They had 3. There was I think they had enough touchdowns or field goals that they could have won the game with it. My math is bad, but my point still stands. Well, okay, if they got 21 points on touchdowns, it's 39 minus 21. That is 18. Yeah, they got enough points to tie us with field goals alone. With field goals alone. But here's the thing. That 200 yards that we don't get on offense, it means less field goals that we could have otherwise scored. You know, instead of being at the 50, we could have been at the 40 or 30 and, you know, maybe gotten a few more field goals. It also means that drives that end at our 30 and turn into a long field goal for Montreal end up becoming punting situations. If Drew Brown plays this game, I'm not saying that we win, but I'm saying that it's different. It's not this bad. It's not 21 points bad. I still think, like, now having seen it, yeah, no, Montreal's the team to beat in the East. I know earlier, before the season, I said that, I think we'll be fighting for first. I think we will be fighting for second. I think we're the team to beat in the East for second, though. I think we're the best team in the East for second place. Because Montreal, barring injury or divine intervention, Montreal's finishing first, most likely. But I think we could have given them a fight, and you want to put up a fight because, hey, we're probably going to need to go through Montreal if we want to move on in the playoffs. This doesn't inspire much hope. But at the same time, we don't have an O-line. Like, they're all injured. And our quarterback isn't the guy. And I think this is different with Drew Brown. And that's why I say it's the next games that matter. I don't want to discredit Calgary. Look, I get it. Maybe they're going to be better than people predict. We should be better than Calgary this season. There's no excuse, especially if Brown plays, for us to lose to Calgary. I don't care if they're better than teams predicted. Where are we supposed to be? What's the goal this season, right? 10 plus wins minimum. Calgary is hoping they're playoff hopeful. 7 wins and they'd be happy. No excuse. You've lost your first 2 games. I could excuse the Riders because it was close and there were a lot of penalties and, there were mistakes that were fixable. This game I can excuse because, the quarterback didn't play and we're playing against one of the best teams in the league. No excuse against Calgary. No excuse against Toronto. You have to win. And speaking of penalties, 11 penalties for 98 yards. They only had 5 for 61. That is a difference of 37 yards. And we had 98 yards of penalties. That is awful. That's inexcusable. And that's back-to-back games where we're taking almost 100 yards worth of penalties and like 10 plus penalties. You can't do that. You can't do that and expect to win football games. I like Bob Dice. Bob, I like you. But get it together. Get some discipline in the locker room. Get some discipline on the bench. And if not, then get players benched. Then let him, like, honestly, I'm somebody who I don't believe that much in tough love, but when the same thing isn't working, I'm at a point where, look, if we're at like 6 penalties, 60 yards, you gotta start telling players, hey, look, if you take a penalty again, like whoever it is who takes the next penalty, you're riding the bench for the rest of the drive. I don't care who you are. I don't care how skilled or talented you are. You take a bad penalty, rest of the drive, ride the bench. Just ride the bench. We'll put in the backup. Because this is inexcusable. And it's not one type of penalty. It's not one side of the football. It's all 3 teams all the time. And it's killing us. It killed us against Saskatchewan. If we didn't take that many penalties, I honestly think we would have won that game. This game we wouldn't have won, but would it have been 21 points? Probably not. Again, the giveaways. It wasn't our starting QB. Yeah, we finally got a sack. That was nice. But overall, it wasn't good. Yeah, 6 yards or 6 field goals, 6 for 6, 6 for 6, and their longest was from 50. See what I mean? Penalties, different QB. Their long was from 50. The difference of even 5 to 10 yards. 10 yards, especially with this score, do you really go for that? They probably would have punted. Interception returns, it's not even worth talking about. Our 1 pick went for 34 yards. We had 3 picks, 77 yards, 1 of the house. Like, again, what do you want me to say? It wasn't a good game for our quarterback. He's not our starter. And look, if Brown's feeling not 100%, I'd rather you rest him against Montreal so that he's ready for Calgary and Toronto, teams you should beat. And we can call this one, as much as it sucks for it to be on a home opener, a scheduled loss. Put it on the shelf, ignore it, say this was a scheduled loss. Saskatchewan was a hard-fought loss. This was a scheduled loss. Calgary needs to be your scheduled win. We're the better team. We've got the better quarterback. No excuse. I am somebody who wants to see a statement win. I want to see like 14 points or more, at least 11. But look, a win would be a win. Whether you win by 1 or 100 doesn't matter. But you better win. And so here are my 3 things, my big checklist against Calgary. Number 1, Drew Brown plays. If Drew Brown doesn't play, then it is a whole different conversation of how bad is this injury, how scared should we be, how done is our season. Number 2, I want to see 5 or less penalties. You know what? I'll be generous. I'll say 7 or less. 7 or less. You know? At least bring it down a notch. And number 3, I want to see less than 60 yards of penalties. Because look, if you get 7 penalties, if you get 6 penalties even, but they are all PI penalties that are giving your opponents 50 plus yards, well, just give me the 98 yards instead. Because I think discipline is a huge issue. And that's something that I was upset about. Because that's something that it shouldn't matter that your backup is playing. You know, that's a discipline issue. And I hate to be a conspiracy theorist, and like I said, I like Bob Dice. I trust Bob Dice. I think he's the coach of the future, but I can't help but get a Jacques Martin vibe hiring Rick Campbell. Especially as special teams coordinator. Like, you know, it's Rick Campbell. I feel like he could be, you know, in a more prominent position. But I worry that it's like when the Sens hired Jacques Martin. Where everyone was like, oh, like, maybe if things start to go bad, we have that backup. We have somebody in our back pocket where they could politely tell DJ Smith, sorry, your services are no longer needed, and then put in a former head coach, much beloved in Ottawa. A lot of fans think, you know, maybe he was treated a little bad towards the end there. Should have been fired when he was. And he can come in, step into the head coaching role, and leave on a good note, even if the season doesn't go so well. And I'm worried that that's what Rick Campbell might end up becoming. that if this season goes bad, if we start 0-4, 0-5, hey, Bob Dice, sorry. We're going to go a different direction, and Rick Campbell can step into that role. But like I said, I think Dice is the coach of the future. And I think if we can get him to tighten up with discipline, if Brown plays, and when our O-line is healthy and can at least block for more than a fraction of a second, I think this team is capable. I've seen our offensive weapons. Our wide receivers are good. We just need opportunity to not just be taken advantage of, but also we need our team to play somebody that's not as good as us, quite frankly. Because the Riders and Alouettes might end up being in the Grey Cup. They're two very good teams. Let's be honest. Calgary isn't expected to do that well this season, and Toronto's expected to have a rather weak start to the season. I expect us to be 2-2 at the end of June. And if we aren't, then we'll get to that conversation. And if you want to see a meltdown, if that happens, like, comment, and subscribe. And hey, if you want to see me celebrate if it doesn't happen, if I'm right and we're 2-2 and you want to see me in higher spirits, same thing. You know, I'm here every week talking about the REDBLACKS. I got a PWHL video coming up. I have some thoughts. Oh, Vancouver and Seattle, you better not win the cup next year. I will be very angry if you do. But that's about it, and I will see you in the next one. And as always, go Ottawa, go!